Not the largest studio yet.
Have all of the reps signed in with Baha if they come in? Just we need to make sure everyone's here. Wonderful,
And my
wonderful.
name.
Passion fruit and more.
Yeah, so I'm.
We've got a couple of people.
L-I-S. M-I-L-T. Thank you. It doesn't matter. You are.
Oh, I like
Yes, I'm on. But if you can join me and just mute yourself and video and everything, that would be helpful in case you have like the pop up and I can't be with computer science. Most times. And yeah, I think that's isn't that like the college? Something. And then chemistry here.
She's Desiree. Yeah. Where's where are the rest of the What? What? He's not coming.
It disappeared.
Right, we're going to get in about 2 minutes. I'm ready, like the fingers. You want absolute green. Very sorry.
Maybe I'll grease them up.
It's like Monday. I always like, oh, it's an easy class. No, it never is. I like got off my very sleeping because always late. The next agenda meeting.
There's fresh air, so like sit in the front, so like
Science medical school.
Yeah, we're gonna You know the name of the person?
Desiree. You've got SAS as well. Where's the TV?
I can see.
When Therese is back, we're gonna. What's it confusing red light, red? It's the. What? Who is it looking
We're
at?
recording, you guys.
Pick up on anyone
That.
talking near this, yeah. Which-
Oh, that's about two seconds.
We can put probably.
It's fine. I will.
So we're gonna try.
We're gonna trial out this and see if I can actually do this. Right. So, right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here and see you. I don't think American voice capture might not like the accent too much, but xenophobia in this country is not a new thing. Right. So, can we please have a motion first to open the council? I'm still trying to learn all of the procedures, so bear with. So can I have a motion to open the meeting? Motion second. Anyone against? Why are you here? Okay, excellent. So the first one, can we have a motion to approve the agenda and the allocation of floor time? Have a motion. Seconds. Voting for. Voting 8. Is there anyone that would like to use or bring anything up to open floor time once we've gone through the agenda? Anyone online, please put it into the chat. Oh, yeah. What actions? Hybrid. Yeah. Okay, super duper. Anything else? Any more? Okay, and then can I get an approval for the September minutes? Seconded. Excellent. Right, okay. So we're going to start off first. We've got hopefully two speakers tonight. The first is Desiree Mix, who is the Assistant Director of Student Accessibility Services here at the university. It's an important office that helps not just undergraduates, but all members of the graduate community with any educational needs. And they're going to be here online. She's going to be here online, so we're going to see her floating head in a second. And Desiree, over to you, please.
First, can folks hear me all right at this volume?
Give us 1 second, Desiree.
Sure.
Don't know why. Can you try now, please?
Can folks hear me at this volume?
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Desiree Mix, she, hers. I am the Assistant Director here at SAS. A little bit of background, I've been at Brown for about 5 years. I have been in higher ed close to 12 years. I also serve as a graduate school liaison for SAS. And it's a relatively new role that I'm in. I've probably served as a liaison for about 5 months. I think it would be helpful to share some data about SAS, just to kind of get an overview of some of the trends that I wanted to briefly touch on. So SAS has 2,300 students that are registered with us. That's both undergraduate and graduate school. We do not serve medical students. They have their own counselor that takes care of the med school. But for graduate students specifically, we have about 330 students that are actively registered with us. That is a huge jump from last year when we had 210. For reference or perspective, we have 3 counselors. So that is about 775 students per counselor. And we are hoping to expand to kind of meet the demands of students. We've been with and without a director off and on for 3 years, but we currently have our director, Karen Andrews, who is wonderful and fantastic, and she's joined us since March. And I really enjoy her vision and where she wants to see not only where SAS is headed or where we want to make the strongest impacts here at Brown. So a couple of trends I've noticed within the graduate school is there's a lot of conversation about housing instability, but what I'm really wanting to focus on is accessible housing. And I think a lot of students are not aware that we have a graduate student housing accommodation process. And you can find that information on our website. Please know anyone can reach out to me after, and I'm happy to answer questions. But my goal is to try to identify not only accessible housing within Brown auxiliary listings, but also in the neighboring areas. And I know it's going to involve a lot of collaboration, but it's something that I am passionate about and I want to focus on. The other piece is across the board nationally, there is a huge demand for program accommodations for graduate students and PhD candidates. Working with graduate students is very different than working with undergraduates. Undergraduate is predominantly like classroom or academic based accommodations, but with program accommodations at the graduate level, it involves, it doesn't get taken care of in one meeting, right? So there's a lot of work that has to go behind it, and a lot of collaborative work, which brings me to my next point of I am on a mission to do as much training as possible about the interactive process. So essentially, out of the Office of Civil Rights and the DOJ, the interactive process is pivotal in terms of providing accommodations for not only graduate students in general, but staff and employees, things like that. So that is just a little bit about what my role is and where we're headed and a little bit of graduate student background. So I'm happy to take a few questions. If not, then I'm happy to take them after via email or phone call, whichever.
Hello? What is the application process like? Are there requirements for being accepted into the housing program?
Yeah, it's a request. There's an online form to fill out. We weigh 2 things in terms of making an assessment. One is documentation. It's helpful, but it's not the end all be all. And the second and the most important is the self-report. So we are driving full speed into the social justice model and really trying to get away from the medical model. So self-report weighs a lot heavier than documentation would. And so we want to know what your experience is like, what your lived experience, how is a living environment and what is necessary for you. So we have a information and release form, which is essentially a registration form, and then you would fill out the housing accommodation online form as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions from online or in person?
Can I ask I have a question. Sorry, I can't see the room. So can I ask something?
Please.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the process of how graduate students go about applying for accommodations or any sort of services that your office offers based on any disability or medical condition? Like what does the process look like, and how is it varied from what maybe the undergrads go through? Like how is it more specific to more graduate student needs? What have you seen? What are some of the challenges? And yeah, so I just want to learn a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So to get accommodations or to register with us is the exact same for undergraduate and graduate students. So similar to how housing accommodations work, you would submit information release form. If you have documentation, please, you can submit that as well. And then you'll want to schedule a meeting. You can give us a call to our front desk, and you'll schedule a meeting with one of our counselors. And in those meetings, we talk about what the needs are, where you can use most assistance. There's a variety of accommodations that students can be eligible for. And I like to let students know that you can ask for whatever you want and whatever you need. So it's not like you have a diagnosis and then this is your list of accommodations, right? So it's about having a conversation of what's the barrier, what do you need access to, where can we assist? So I can give an example of a couple of accommodations. For like more academic based, we have, extended time on exams, access to certain softwares and technology. As a side note, my background is in technology and computer science, so it's incredibly applicable in this role. And we do have a variety of assistive technology that we can help students with. We do housing accommodations. We have emotional support animal requests, which has been a big uptick at the graduate level as well. And so when we're completed with the meeting, often called an intake, we can either have academic accommodation letters ready to go, but the difference at the graduate level is typically accommodations rely on communicating with a graduate school and or DGS or PIs or anyone like within that realm that we need assistance with implementing said accommodations. So extra time on qualifying exams, right? Or needing to adjust a deadline for program stipulations. So these are some of the things that I see that come through our office. Going through short-term medical leave is something that's very unique to the graduate school and not something that's available for undergraduates. But yeah, hopefully I addressed some of the points that you were looking for.
I think we've just got one final question here in the room.
Yes. Yes, I want to add on to what you were talking about, but in terms of like disability discrimination. So I wonder if your office deals with that and what's the process with that?
I couldn't hear too much of the question.
Hello? Yeah, is this fine?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add on to the last person was talking about, but in terms of what's the process of dealing with work, like disability discrimination in your workplace? Do we go to your office for that? And if so, what's the process for that?
Okay, if I'm hearing correctly, disability discrimination, did you say in the workplace?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Oh, thank you for typing it out in the chat, that was helpful. So a little column A, a little column B. If you're not sure where to start with our office. Something that is in development right now is there are certain roles at the graduate level, so student employment. So if proctoring or TA-ship or research assistance, that's something that is going through our office and something you can check in with. If it is any kind of student employment outside of that realm, then you want to check in with Fraudspire. And if it's discrimination, or even if you feel it's in that range or in that ballpark, you definitely want to work with OIED, the Office of Institutional Equity, OIED and Diversity. And they have an ADA coordinator that can absolutely help guide students in the right direction in terms of if there needs to be an official complaint, if something needs to be addressed, if they need to share additional resources. So those are kind of the three different pathways to address it.
Okay, super. Thank you so much. That's exceptionally helpful. Hope that's answered people's questions. We will put in Desiree's email onto the agenda so everyone has this for their notes for their departments. Desiree, thank you so much. Big round of applause. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Our next speakers are the GLOW, the Graduate Labour Union. Their president, Sharina, is here, and I actually don't know what your position is, Julia, sorry. And secretary here, they're going to come and talk about what the union is, what they're doing, and the key concerns that they're working on this semester. This is because obviously as graduate students, it's important to make sure that we're all fighting on the right page and that everyone has the information.
I'm not a good performer. Can everyone hear me okay and Zoom's good? Awesome. Hey guys, I'm Sharina, she, her pronouns. I'm a 5th year graduate student worker in modern culture and media, and I'm president of our union, the Graduate Labor Organization, and I'll ask Julia.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Huggins, she, her pronouns. I am a 6th year now in the Department of Modern Culture and Media, and I am the secretary of your union, GLO.
So we're really happy to be here, and thanks to the GSU for inviting us. It is a really big year for graduate student workers at Brown. We are approaching the 3rd year of our first contract with the university, which outlines all of the rights and protections that we want in the workplace in our first contract. That contract is actually expiring this year, so we will be going back to the negotiating table with Brown. And that means that everything under our union contract, which involves things around, making something called a livable wage, which we're still teaching Brown what that means. Our healthcare, our protections in terms of discrimination and harassment in the workplace, protections around our working hours, all of those things that are in our current contract will be on the table again. And so we, as the union, as grad workers at Brown, are coming together and really need to talk to each other about what has worked well in the current contract and what we need to fight to improve. So I personally, as someone who's been involved in leadership, have ideas around where those issues are, but we are a member-run and member-powered organization. So what we're going to be working on this fall is a bargaining survey going out to all members, asking folks, what do you need to see change about your working conditions? What protections do we need to fight for? How are we going to build collective power? How are we going to unite grads so that we are a powerful force on this campus and we can win those things that we deserve and need? This university doesn't work without us. We are the teaching assistants, research assistants, proctors, that make all of the amazing research Brown loves to talk about actually happen on the ground, right? It doesn't happen without us. So that gives us actually, when we are united, when we are upfront, a lot of power to make demands around what we need and what we can improve. So for folks who aren't familiar yet with your union, we are an independent organization from the university. That means that our funding comes from our members. And what that means is that we are independent of Brown's governance. We govern ourselves. We decide what we fight for, and that's based on our member engagement, what members say they need. And we have passive recourse that are unbounded by the institutional powers that be. So, we are able to make demands around things that the university would tell us we don't have rights around that, right? So I don't know if folks are familiar here with our current campaign around free graduate student workers who are being unfairly and unjustly forced out of their programs. These are all grads of color. These are grads from master's and PhD programs who have particular stories, you know, about their own experiences, but who are similarly and unfairly being forced out. So grads came together. We have been sharing a petition around these grads and their issues. We've had rallies. We've been talking to our members about what's been going on. And one of those grads, Jeremiah Zebulon, who is an international grad from Kenya in the Masters of Public Health program, he was being forced out. Brown was saying to Jeremiah, you can't pay your tuition. And this was because of economic circumstances in his home country. And so they were saying, you don't get to continue in your program. Jeremiah has been saving up for 5 years to do this master's program, has invested all of his resources into being able to do this program. And Brown was just saying, sorry, you can't pay these exorbitant tuition prices, you're out. Grads rallied around Jeremiah. The university also didn't pay him for 6 weeks of work over the summer in a really unfair and actually unbelievable series of events where they obviously denied any accountability for that. And grads pressured Brown. And so since then, Jeremiah has been paid for those 6 weeks of fucking stolen wages. That's wage theft. They can call it what that's what it is. Jeremiah has been moved to active student status because after having been paid, he was able to pay his tuition. So Jeremiah is now enrolled, and that is because grads came together and we demanded and we said, Jeremiah will not go, and we are not going to let that happen. And that is what solidarity means. That is what collective action means. We're still fighting for Karina, who's also in public health, who's in her 7th year of PhD students here. 7 years in, Brown says, you walk away with nothing. That is cruel and unbelievable. 7 years of your life. And they're saying you walk away with nothing. Collective action and collective power means that we push and we make sure that Karina is allowed a fair chance to finish her degree. Clue is an actor in Brown's MFA program, which is between Brown and the Trinity Repertoire Theater. And sorry, folks, I hope folks have heard about this already, but I'm just like, this is very pressing and current with what we're organizing around. Clue requested unpaid leave to pursue an opportunity in theater that was a role not offered to Clue at Brown, a role that was representative of their queer and immigrant identity, doesn't exist at Brown. And it was also a role that paid a living wage, something that Brown does not offer to grads in that MFA program. And Brown denied their request to leave, which cost this multi-billion dollar institution nothing to let Clue leave and come back. Clue then learned that their sister was ill with cancer and requested family leave to care for their sole surviving family member. And Brown denied that leave. And they said to Clue, you will choose between caring for your family member and your degree at this university. That is an unbelievably cruel thing to ask a student. So we've been organizing around these grads. I'm sure you've seen it. We had a rally last week. We had a petition going around. Myself and our VP have been meeting with administrators to push them to do the right thing and let those grads stay. So I hope you're all clued into like what's going on there. But more generally, something that, I mean, grad solidarity means that this impacts all of us because that could literally be any of us. Any family member could fall sick at any point, and we deserve the right to be able to take a leave, which costs Brown nothing to take care of our family members because we are full people outside of our graduate degrees. But something that impacts everyone are these contract negotiations in the spring, where we can fight for better protections around leaves and make sure that this doesn't happen to more grads, and grads aren't pushed out on academic matters in which the university tries to keep the union out and saying, well, it's not a working issue. We don't need to split the baby in half. We are workers and we are students. We do both. The university does not survive without us. So yeah, we are going to be, you will hear from organizers in our union, your colleagues reaching out to you and asking you, and really trying to understand on a deep level, like not just putting a survey out and being like answer A, B, C, like we want to hear about your experiences, and really understand the diverse experiences of grads across all kinds of working conditions at Brown, that we are set up so we can fight for the priorities of grads when we go to that table. And we will also fight for open negotiations so that every single one of us here can observe those negotiations. Brown does not like that because they say terrible things in those negotiations and undervalue our labor in those negotiations. So they are much less likely to be able to get away with that when there's 200 of us staring at them being like, Russell Carey, I dare you. You will say some nasty things. So yeah, just look out for those surveys. And one final note, sorry if I'm going over. We have several committees that are in our union, and it's especially important that we have mass participation in those committees because, you know, we have a committee for international students. International students are getting fucked over by this university. We're getting taxed. I'm an international student myself. We're getting taxed, and so we're making less of a salary than our domestic colleagues, and that's not fair. And so other, like Harvard won an international student fund. So for international grads who have to travel home for visa requirements, as a condition of their work, to be able to labor for the university, they have to travel home. Those flights are not cheap. And universities asking grads to pay out of pocket. And at the same time, posting on all their PR releases about how much they value what international grads offer to their university. But then being like, oh, but that $2,000 plane ticket, that's on you, babe. That's not fair. So I know we need to fight for better protection for international grads. We need international grads involved in this process. We need y'all to be like, we're writing the language of the next contract. This is what we need. This is how we're going to phrase it. We need to take care of each other. We need to be present for each other in this process. This is a really big year for grad workers. Like we can set precedents for other universities to follow, right? Harvard set a precedent about setting out this fund for international grads. We can set precedent, right? As long as we are united, it's really great for us to be here tonight because I know GSD has a really great reach of grads and offers a lot of resources. We have recourse. Right? If you're part of GSC, you should be part of your union too. These are two sides of the same coin. We are all grad workers here. We need reps in all of our departments. So we are going to be launching a stewards election next week, I believe. Which a steward is just a representative in a department or work site. We need boots on the ground. Like I want to know what's happening in Clips. I want to know what's happening in econ. We have very department specific issues that we should all be put into. We should talk to each other. What was your paycheck this month? Don't be ashamed. We need to talk to each other about this. So we can go to the university and say, we've been talking to each other. We know what's unfair. We know what you've been up to because we talk to each other. Divide and conquer is an age-old technique that the university is very familiar with. So we got to fight that. So we are, yes, recruiting stewards and we're recruiting members to join our different committees. There's a political committee. So we want to be bargaining for the common good, right? Brown is a multi-billion-dollar corporation in the city of Providence that does not pay taxes. What the fuck? That is not okay. We have a political committee that's part of a pilot program that's pressuring Brown to pay its fair share. We have a social justice and accountability committee. What kind of demands do you want? The university will say, a union is about work. It's about working hours and pay, and they'll try and cut us off there. If we are powerful enough, if we are united enough, we can make demands for the common good. We can say that we want cops off campus. We can say that Brown has not been adequately responding to the pandemic and we are facing COVID issues still, and Brown needs to be doing more. We have a communications committee. So there's a role for everybody in the revolution, as they say. So we really need your participation, and it's great to see you all. Let's stay in touch.
So just before everyone goes, is there any, it's also a good time to ask any questions about the union, about how to get involved. We'll also make sure that we provide all links on how to get involved on the agenda as well. Are there any questions for the GLOW leadership in the room?
This is not one of those questions.
Yes, baby, you. We need that so badly. All I see is glasses in this audience. I hear you. Yeah, I think that we should really form like a healthcare committee. I had another grad during orientation ask if hearing aids were covered in our insurance policy. They're not. That means grad school is not very accessible to people who have hearing issues. So, and so many grads have vision issues. It's definitely something we can fight for. It's just building the power out so we can make demands and have the collective action and power behind it. So Brown can't say no. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent question. And we have a question online from Katie Murray. I'm not good at computers, so Ken, I think you should be able just to speak.
Yeah.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, my question is the grad student union an independent union, or are you associated with another union like AFSCME or something similar?
Yeah, so we're affiliated with the American Federation of Teachers at the national level, and at the state level, the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers. These are like 2 million, like from like elementary preschool teaching all the way up to higher ed.
Right, are there any more questions either in the audience, in person or online? No, wonderful. Thank you so much, Glo. That's exceptionally useful. Okay. So you will get the information, and as reps, you will be getting, as always, your agenda minutes out at the end of the week. Just said it. Obviously, it's your decision to join. We can only give you the information to make an informed decision. Finally, not even finally, we're on to number 4. Which is the joys of being on the GS News, never lost. We have a special election, second month in a row, which is for the position of treasurer. At the moment, we've got 2 people currently running. Is there anybody either on Zoom or in the room who would also like to put themselves up for candidacy for the treasury? A position I hold close to my heart. So Beanish Pervez, the Vice President, will be monitoring it online. What we're going to do, we're going to have quick hustings first. The 2 people we currently have, there's no one else on Google or Zoom, are Catherine Murray and Sophia Verber. Is there any preference of who goes first, Katie or Sophia? Do we have a preference? What do you think? Katie, do you have a preference of whether to go in first or second? Okay, Sophia, would you like to come and stand up? So we first have Sophia Verber standing. So please listen while she explains why she would be a good treasurer. We'll give you a
Here.
Okay, hi everyone, can you hear me fine? Zoom, yeah, okay. Hi, my name is Sophia Verba. She, hers, I'm a PhD student in public studies this year. I'm not gonna talk for a long time. I'll give you 3 reasons why I'm gonna make a good treasurer. I'm excited to be here to run for a treasurer. And reason 1 is my experience. I've been serving on the finance committee for 2 years now, and I've helped and working with the GST fund, which means I'm well versed in graduate school financial structures and GST financial structures, and I understand the importance of financial transparency and our financial independence, and how important it is to maintain good relationship with the graduate school to obtain that independence. Reason 2, I'm a national student, which means I'm not only going to be a treasurer, but also a voice for not just the grad student community, but also for the international students, and that's the most vulnerable of the resident community, especially now when we're facing the cost of living crisis. And I've organized international orientation, as some of you may know, for the last 3 years, and established, formed excellent working relationship with the administration, radio school, and that's also something I can bring to this role. And finally, my final reason is that I come from a small underrepresented department, Slavic studies at the small language department. I'm a student worker, which means that I'm very familiar with the problems that student workers have, and GSC, its role is to make sure all the voices are heard, and voices graduate students from smaller departments, not just voices from students from larger departments or departments with greater funding. And I definitely will be advocating for student workers and from smaller departments, and I understand the need of continually improving the working conditions. So as a treasurer, I'll make sure our finances are secure and all the voices I heard. I'll work for that. Thank you.
Okay, still standing if you're questions in a second. Next up, Katie, if you're still willing, if you could.
Can I sit down?
Wait, I'll answer your question.
Oh.
Here's Katie. Oh, Katie's online.
I see myself right now. Can you see me okay?
We're just going to turn you into a floating head. Give us
Yes.
1 second.
One second.
Okay, thanks. It's hard to tell what my background looks like.
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay, great. I'll just wait till I can see my screen, if you don't mind.
Yes, sure. No, okay. Okay, Katie, you should be able to turn it on now.
Great. And then it'll be possible for me to also see myself. They didn't give me the option when I signed on.
No,
Well-
I guess because we're on conference mode, it's just.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to see yourself.
Oh, funny. Okay, well,
But you're up now, so you can just turn on your video.
Yeah.
See your lovely face. Yeah.
hi. It's nice to meet y'all. I'm here running for treasurer. I'm a first and only year master's student in American Studies. I'm really passionate about joining the Graduate Student Council. I'm looking for ways to be more involved with the school, and I thought this sounded like the perfect way to be involved. So currently I live at one of the student housing co-ops, and I am the treasurer of the house that I live in. And I have access to a lot of trainings around this, and I'm looking forward to, being part of the graduate school and being able to mentor people so that they're able to take on some of these responsibilities as well. In the past, I've been in the leadership of local community organizations, namely EcoVista. We put together a community center, and we also installed the first food forest in a municipal area, as far as I know. And I was there doing the treasure type aspects of the organization. So I have some experience, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be part of the graduate school. In the past, I've also been, I've shared leadership positions with people. So I'm not sure how you do things at the Graduate Student Council, but if that's a possibility, I would love to be a co-treasurer. Thanks so much for your time.
Wonderful. So we're going to go. Oh, sorry. I do apologize. Are there any questions for any of the candidates in the room of key things or anything?
Mr. President, I have a question for you. Is this term,
Yeah, so the way that the GSC works is that everything comes up for election in December, because we work like a normal year, not an academic year. But obviously it's about serving out the term, but then also if they want to continue, giving them space to continue as well. Any other questions? Anything? Any more? Okay, so what's going to happen now is Sophia is going to walk out the door because you can't see your own election. And then Katie, we're going to put you in a breakout room. My magical elf Mel is going to do right now. And Mel's going to put a poll on Zoom between the two, and I'm going to ask you to vote once and only once. Remember, it is only departmental reps who can vote. You ready with the poll?
And we have to go with one thing.
No, it's a poll on Zoom, a Zoom poll. Technical. So whilst Mel is doing that, we're going to just double check for the people. So the first one is Sophia Verba, 5th year PhD in Slavic Studies, and the other one is, the other person is Katie, who is a first year master's student in the 1 year master's in the Americana Studies. So we'll do the first in-person vote. So could you please put your hand clearly in the air if you are a department in the room and would like to vote for Sophia Verba for treasurer?
People on Zoom, you can just raise your hand, please.
Oh, yeah, raise hand on Zoom. Right. Hands down, please.
It went up, but it's.
And then please raise your hands either on Zoom or in person for Katie. Back to clear. Online, please raise your hands online. Wonderful, we have got our result, if that it is. So when she comes in, please give her a nice round of applause, and also a round of applause for Katie when they join back on Zoom. Yes, and yes. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She should be back.
Katie, are you back in the main room? Okay, so the results are in, and we have Sophia Verba is elected as treasurer. And thank you so much to Katie for coming in, and we actually hope we've got lots of opportunities for everyone to get involved in the GFC. Right, so moving on then, which means number 5, filling internal committee. As always, just like with Globe, we have lots of committees for people to serve on. Because we're running a bit short on time, I'm just going to scream them at you. Nominations chair, which is headed by our chair of nominations, Teresa Chambers. This is filling all committees on the university. This is a very good way of getting involved. We get lots of free food. We're going to send out in the email the minutes, a sign-up sheet with explaining hours of all of this as well. If you feel like you're interested at the end of the meeting, also either send your email to us or say hello. Finance, my former one, it's easy, it's the best one personally. Socials, you help Remy and Olivia to organise the socials the rest of the semester. Student life, you help Abdullah with his student life stuff. Masters committee with Ray to help with masters stuff. An international committee with Zion, who's unfortunately a bit under the weather, to help advocate for international students in your department or otherwise. And a new one this year is comms with Farah to help with her communications. She can communicate very well, which just makes the job easier for her. So I'm not suggesting anything. But we will make sure that we send out a small listing of what it entails, the hours. We don't compensate with money because Brown doesn't like that, but we do compensate with love and food. So we will make sure you can do this. Okay. Are there any questions either online or in person about filling the internal committees? No, because you're all going to do it. So the next one then is an update from the president and vice president. And this is something that came up from last month's meeting in terms of the access of EGAP funding and the change in structures and the doubling down from the graduate school, in particular on our attempt to continue our food security program. At the moment, every single master's student and PhD student at Brown is entitled to 3 lines of emergency funding. It is exceptionally important that this information is consistently and continually available for every single person in the graduate community. At the moment, So the blue link gets into the website. The main one is the EGAP funding, which is up to $500 for graduate students in acute need. There is no limitations on what it is. If you are in acute need, you send in the application. It's through, I do believe it's through UFunds, and they try and get back to you in 2 to 3 days, and they give you the money straight into your bank account that's registered with the university. I believe this is per semester, but it could also be per year. That's waiting for clarification from the graduate school.
Per
Per year.
no, one.
So that's a change. Thank you very much. It's now per one. Good to know. Thank you very much. This is why these meetings are very important.
What's going to be graduate?
EGAP 500 is now once per year.
Lifetime, once per lifetime.
Once per lifetime. Once per lifetime. So that's why I'm in my head. So it's stupid. The next one is meal credits. Food security is a huge, huge issue. We are aware of the huge issue of the cost of living crisis. Because of the pay increase that the union has given up, the university has pushed back and cut our funding for our food security program. However, they do have their own program called the Meal Credits or the Meal Gap Fund, which is administered by Dean Maria Straren. In the last 18 months, the usage of this was about 44% of those people ascribed. What we want to make sure happens is that those people who see themselves in need get access to this food, and if they have problem accessing the food, whether it's they don't want to go and eat with the undergrads, whether it's they have got time constraints, we need to know. I know it's a big ask, but the whole thing about us being here in front of you is that there is no shame in food security. Everyone has got their shit to deal with. There is no problem and no issue in terms of this. When we want to make sure that everyone gets the access that they can so that we can have a stronger position to sit there and argue with the graduate school, which is why you'll know that 6.122 is that if you feel comfortable with, it's recommending, I recommend BCCing or CCing in one of the members of the Graduate Student Council executive, so we can make sure, one, that you are actually getting access to this food, and if there are any issues you have with the access, if it's not sufficient, if it's not actually meeting your needs, then we can sit there and help go on. And this you can find through that first link as well. And then the next one is their short-term loan, which is 0% loan that you get to pay up. I've not put on that too much information because I don't think anyone else wants more loan. But still, there's $500 right there that is up for options if needed. Please make sure this is shared with your community, with the people in your department. This is a really big, important change. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. We're going to talk about it at our next graduate council meeting with the graduate school itself. Are there any questions or clarifications that are needed over the EGAP funding that's on offer? So the one that's listed, so the question was, is the EGAP funding a loan or not? EGAP funding is not a loan. It's a gift. It's a transaction of up to $500. So for example, so I used it last year, for example, when I had to go get surgery, I had a bill for $400. I didn't have $400 and it was a medical thing that came out of nowhere. I explained on the form, I need to pay this bill, what am I going to do? And they gave me $400. So it is there to sit there and work through unexpected costs that come up. We are down to the pennies in terms of looking at what we're getting and how we're using our money. So this is a good resource to have.
All of them are
Masters and PhDs, yeah.
Sorry, guys, can you just give you the mic? It's for the benefit of the people on Zoom.
So the question was, is this for masters and PhDs? Yes, this is for masters and PhDs. And the link that's in blue on 6.1, if there's any differentiations that they make, sometimes there might be a small difference in who it applies to, whether it's one dean or another dean. It's all linked there as well. But if there's any questions in access, please do not hesitate to email any one of the GSC members.
Is the taxable?
No. No, there's no tax on this. It's like when you get reimbursed for conferences or something. You'll have, most of the time, sometimes you might have to approve receipt of the bill. but quite often they're not always going to do it, so we'll just get the money back. Any questions online? Pardon?
It's a reimbursement, or is it?
Yeah, so it's, well, it's like, yeah, so basically everything at Brown works off of reimbursement, but like, for example, if you can show them the bill beforehand, they can transfer and then, for example. So they can help, and the main thing is just sit there and email the deans and they will help.
You can also do like projected costs, like it's going to cost me X amount to deal with this situation, and they'll do it that way. So, like I fractured both my wrists, and so I needed help getting around, so I put it into that. And I was like, I have to Uber everywhere now because I can't drive, so kind of like projected costs.
Okay, super. Now we're going to move on to nominations.
Okay, this should be relatively quick. Anyone who is subscribed to the GS Notice listserv is probably already aware of this. I have one super important committee that I have been putting off closing the application form for like 2 weeks now because I have not yet gotten enough applicants to fill all of the spots. So the Graduate Council is a university committee that handles a lot of graduate school policy and also reviewing of graduate programs. It is very important, and we get to put 4 graduate representatives on this committee. One from the physical sciences, life sciences, social sciences, and humanities. At the moment, only the physical sciences position is filled. Every other position is open, and graduate representation and advocacy on this committee is incredibly important. I've got it open on the council website until this Friday. Check it out if you're interested. Check out the other committees that are also still seeking applicants if you're interested in those. But Graduate Council is definitely the big one. Please spread that to your departments as well if you know anyone who might be interested in helping out with that.
Any questions that we might have in the online or in the room about this?
We have testimonials on the Zoom about the grad council being really cool. So if that is something that sounds attractive to you, we have 2 people in the chat that are like, yes, I'm on it. And it's awesome.
Oh, someone said that they are the humanities rep. That spot is filled.
Interesting. I believe they probably did not respond to my email to confirm their position. Have them reach out to me directly, please.
Yes, okay, we'll make notes. Too long of a meeting. Next is Treasury. Sophie is not quite the treasurer until after this meeting, so it's back to me. So as you know, we approved use of special funds last meeting for startup costs and everything like that. And we have reinstated a slightly altered food share program with Brown Market Share, which has basically allowed us to not fund the market share for everybody, but reduce it to $80 over the semester. And we have had a response of over 100 people. The total cost of that has come to $9,000. So we just need to get a vote to allow the $9,000 from our savings to be used to pay for this. Our savings are currently at $200,000, so it's nothing really too much to be worrying about for us. So if you would, anyone, we have any questions about the use of the $9,000 to help with the food program?
I'm just curious, is that going to happen each semester? That like, or why is it happening this semester?
So it's about trying to transition out of it from Brown, because the fact of the matter is that during the pandemic, when we started doing this, it's not in the remit of the GSE to provide food, but we had the resources and we had the capability of doing so. And what we're trying to do is make sure that, as Sharina said, from Globe, we're 2 sides of the same coin. The arguments that are being given and the definitions of food insecurity are quite nebulous in the graduate school. So having this content, making sure then that these 100 people have got access to food in the interim whilst we create a more sustainable structure is really the key that we're looking for. And we also just sat there at the beginning of the semester and said it's not for us to define what food security is. If people are saying they're insecure to us, we're not going to turn people away. But it's about having the resources and having the data to make sure that then we can go to the graduate school and say, right, you've got this, but it's not doing enough. And we're just making sure that no one is left behind. So it's about making sure that as we transition out of it, because the grad school is no longer funding it, because the way that we used to be able to fund the entire thing for free was that we paid 7,000, the grad school paid 7,000, and the president paid 10,000. But with the graduate school pulling out, there's no way for us to move forward with even talking to the president. So it's about making sure that there is a sustainable stop fall as we transition to make sure that Brown actually accounts for the people that it's paying.
Out of curiosity, if it doesn't get passed,
It's coming from our savings. So about 6 years ago, the GST, no, 6 years ago, years ago, the GST didn't do anything. So we always had a good amount of savings. And that's used for our distinguished speaker series. That's also used for like renovations to the graduate lounge. And then during the COVID, we released over 75,000 each semester from like the working budget and also the savings. But because of the fact that conferences were down, which meant that conference costs were less, meant that like our savings have gone up. So we're in a position that we can continue to, in the interim, move forward and release this money as and when to make sure that nobody is left behind. Any other questions online or in the room?
Is this market share program going to be continuing next semester? Do we know?
We won't know until about end of November as we talk to the grad school again. It's a continuous rolling thing that we're going to have to be thinking about. Okay, so if you are in favor of approving the $9,000, please put your hand in the air.
On Zoom, you can raise your hand, please. If you are in favor.
Thank you very much. Against? Abstaining from the vote? See if that's passed, so that bill will be paid tomorrow. Thank you very much. Next, we have got social. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, just to go back to my thing real quick, I have a quick clarification because I figured out what happened. There was an error in the records that I had. Physical sciences is open. The person who was on there I had them listed as physical sciences for some reason. I don't know people's programs. But anyway, so if you're in the physical sciences and you're interested in the graduate council, please apply because apparently I've been advertising that wrong for about 3 weeks. And I'm going to get that fixed as soon as possible.
And I unfortunately forgot just to remind everyone, as always, the funds that are still live for everybody as a member of the graduate community are internal event funding. If you are organising an event that helps community or does anything up to $400, it's on the website. The link that is red is the application. Like when you get to the GSC website, it's in red. It doesn't look like a link. Actually, it looks like a link. It's a link. It's a link. Link.
Big.
Big. It's a link.
It's a link.
Recognized student group funding. If you are an affinity group that serves the graduate student community, you get $500 from us to help with your programming and your existence. And all you've got to do is work with Sophia and Teresa to make sure you've got an SAO account so we can transfer it. Conference and external travel funding, up to now, $350. If you are doing a conference, work experience, anything between now and January 20th, sorry, you have until the end of October to apply. Decisions we made by mid-November. Done. Socials.
Hello. So we just want to update everyone on the upcoming socials for this semester. Coming up is the Halloween social. This will be at Narragansett Brewery down by India Point Park if you haven't been there. And we will be having a costume contest. There will be, I think, drag show performers for entertainment.
It's October 27th. That is the Thursday before Halloween, but we believe in the 4-day work week model. So hopefully everyone will come out and follow through with us. It starts at 8 p.m. and ends at 11.
We don't know the prize yet for the costume contest, but it's gonna be good. So please dress to impress.
It's a surprise. Also, just be on the lookout for that. We can only accommodate 200 guests. So first come, first serve. Be watching. Then, later this semester, we are planning for December 2nd, our annual winter formal, at the Waterfire Arts Center. That's where we had it last year.
We are thinking about collaborating with med students on this. They wanted to be tied in with the grad student community a bit. If anyone has any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns about that, please let us know. But we think it'd be fun to kind of bridge that gap a bit. But yeah, we're working out the details on that. So come party with us.
Any questions or comments, objections to medical students?
Okay, question. Are guests allowed in any of those two events or is it
Yes.
grad students?
Yeah, guests are allowed. I think we are gonna try to do an RSVP situation for the Halloween social, and we'll also send out one just to get like a head count for winter formal, but it's normally guests are allowed.
Anything in the room, questions or comments? Good stuff. On to student life.
No, you can't.
Okay. Can you
One second.
click on the first, the distinguished speaker?
No, of
Okay,
course
so
you
the
can't.
first
No,
thing
you
on
can't.
the, say again.
Sorry. One second. First thing?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing on my agenda, at least for today, is we have to vote on who we want for our Distinguished Speaker Series for 2022. One thing that, after talking to the board and after raising the budget, one of the things that we found was really important actually, when choosing potential speakers was, when looking back at speakers that we've had, we actually found that going for as large of a name that we can get, even if it's over Zoom, seemed to be the most memorable and the most, I would say, like, effective way to get a speaker to come, or at least get a speaker that is as engaging for the graduate student community. So actually, we have 4 people that we're potentially going to send out offers to. We will say that they are all over Zoom. So one of the things we want to do differently is rather than having them speak to us for say the 1 hour that they are going to be here for, we were hoping that they were going to come speak with us for a majority of that time. So say they come, they speak with us over Zoom for 15, 20, 30 minutes, but then we open it up to the audience to essentially engage with the speaker. And so for today, we'll go through the 4 people that I had in mind. And if you can advance one slide for me, that click. Okay, so the first person is Mickey Kendall, who she described herself as a writer, diversity consultant, and the occasional feminist, who is well known for her book Hood Feminism, and then the graphic novel Amazon's Abolitionists and Activists: A Graphic History of the Women's Fight for Their Rights. We'll go to the next one. Our second candidate is Dr. Yusuf Salam, who describes himself as a prison reform activist, motivational speaker, and justice seeker. He is most well known for being one of the Central Park Exonerated 5, where he served a prison sentence for 6 years and 8 months before being exonerated, along with the 4 other members of Central Park 5. Move on to the next person. And then our third candidate is Aaron Brockovich, who played a pivotal role in building a case against Anderson versus PG&E, which settled for, I believe, the largest amount that was ever settled for this type of lawsuit, $333 billion. This lawsuit was eventually turned into an Oscar-winning film called Aaron Brockovich. So I guess a fun event that could be done in combination with having Erin come is to have a movie night before she arrives, where we all watch her movie and then perhaps we all discuss it with her. And then the fourth person we had in mind was, I don't remember anymore how to pronounce his first name. We'll go with X Martinez. He's an environmental hip hop warrior, as he describes himself. And is one of the 21 plaintiffs in the Juliana versus United States lawsuit, which is the one where they are suing the U.S. government for inaction against climate change. And then one of the 7 plaintiffs in the Martinez versus Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission case. So those are the 4 people we had in mind. And one of the things I wanted to do that I'm realizing you might break from the way that we do voting around here. I was hoping to do a ranked choice vote, bring us a little bit into the modern day. I know, so just go to the next slide. And the way that I was imagining this go is y'all just scan that, it'll go to a Google form, and then
We're doing it now.
we don't have to do it right now. This is something that can be done over the course of the rest of the general body meeting, because we do have stuff to get to. Perhaps y'all can scan it and then we can move on to the next thing. If you guys have it in, if you pull up the what is it called? The meeting minutes.
Abdullah, is there a deadline for?
We'll go with tonight. So the end of this meeting, please just select your first, second, third, and fourth choice. It is something that will take literally 35 seconds. Yeah, and then if you want to type it in, you can also, that's a good thing to it as well. Yes, hello.
So what are you kind of, so what's the vision for, you said potentially a discussion over Zoom? Would it be like a Q&A or open-ended, which is a lot of people, how would that work?
Yeah, realistically, in my head, so we'll go, let's just say we go with 30 minutes, they talk about themselves, and then we do a 30 minutes Q&A. Realistically, I would be the one moderating this, where people would submit questions to me, either beforehand or during, and then I would engage to tell them the questions that are coming up, or I can just, I would say like, oh, this person can unmute themselves, ask a question, and then I can turn into a discussion. I think the idea though is that I think it would be really valuable, rather than just having these people speak to us, just giving graduate students a chance to actually engage with them, which I think is, so long as that is achieved, I think I'm not as tied to any particular vision for it.
Yeah, thank you. Could you just clarify, are you planning to only invite them for a Zoom talk, or there was also the option of the campus visit?
For speakers of this caliber, it unfortunately would just be over Zoom. Essentially, the strategy was going to be, by keeping it over Zoom, we could engage with higher profile speakers. Any other questions?
Okay. No questions online.
Okay, so then we can move on to the next item. Now, if we can go back to, yes, the agenda. It's on the agenda. Anyone can click on it, and yeah, the voting form is right there. The next thing on the agenda for me is Latin night this Friday. You can click on that. That's lovely. Links on links, baby.
Really coming to work with these.
Okay, Latin night this Friday, right here. We're having a class at 8 p.m. a bachata class, and then starting at 9 p.m. there's going to be social dancing for the remainder of the evening. One of the things that I'm going to do for this event is there's going to be a raffle for everyone that attends, where you can get up to 3 free raffle tickets, depending on essentially what you do. I would go check out the Facebook event page for it, or the Instagram post for it. If you come to the class, you get 1 raffle ticket. If you come to the social, you get 1 raffle ticket. If you like one of the posts on either the Facebook page or the Instagram, you also get an extra ticket. And so that adds up to a total of, at most, three free raffle tickets, which you can then also buy some. I think it's $2 for 1 or 5 for 3. You can get up to, I'm going to end up getting a little over $300 worth of prizes. So that's happening. So definitely show up. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Next on agenda, okay? The next link, the food pantry. Oh, actually, Thanksgiving trivia. I don't have too much to update here other than beginning to plan that. Right now it's set for November 3rd at 7 p.m. in the lounge. Look for emails in the next few weeks saying more details. Yeah. And then next thing for me is the food pantry website is now live. You click on it, there you go. Here is the wonderful page for the pantry. It even lists everything that we have. If you scroll through all the way to the bottom, and it even says which shelf it's on. And at the very bottom, we have a feedback form for everybody to fill out where none of it is required. So you can you can go in and just say what you can talk about whichever portion of it you care about and ignore the rest. So definitely please check this out. The resource is now available for all graduate students and broader advertisement coming in the next few days. All right, next thing. Oh yeah, and it's up. You can access it through the updated food resources page. I don't feel like we need to click on that. And then the last thing is the graduate student lounge, something that I've been working on for the last pretty much since I started my position here. There have been lots of different changes, and one of them is I've actually updated a lot of the guidelines for how to conduct yourself pretty much in the lounge, which is essential. I gave a lot more direction in how to keep this place clean. But there's one thing that has become that I've heard the most from people that reserve this place. It's that they show up and the floors are sticky, or there's food bits on the ground, or things are missing. So we have brooms, we have Swiffers, lots of stuff galore. And then I've also created a new reservation form that tries to also spell that all out for everybody as they are signing up. And with that is all I have. Any questions? No? All right. Oh, question.
No,
Nope. Giving you the hand.
just giving you the hand. We're now on to masters. Raymond Shake.
Yes, hello. So first thing coming up on October 20th, we're gonna have a pumpkin painting event. There'll be paint and then also those little felt sticker things in case you don't want to get your hands dirty. And then gonna have some light snacks and non-alcoholic drinks. It's gonna be here on October 20th from 5 to 6 p.m. So please come. And then I'm working on a game/trivia night sometime in November. Tentatively the week of November 14th, but details still being worked out. We'll definitely keep everyone posted. And I've been having, I had my first meeting with SPS, and we talked about resources for master's students intending on pursuing further education, for example, medical school, law school, PhD. And I'm working with Jennifer Nazarino, that was her name, to have a medical student panel for any students interested in going to med school. And still going to continue discussions on creating some sort of support network for master's students so that they're not, in the dark if they intend on pursuing further education for their career path. And the other thing we talked about is kind of along the same line, connecting master's students with mentorship and research opportunities. So kind of a similar vein, and going to have more ongoing conversations with that. And then lastly, communications across various programs and social media engagement. So from what I understand, there's a new master's student Instagram. I don't remember what it was called. I'll have to get back to you, and it'll be in a minute. And it's going to be advertising events for master's students. There's already a few posts on there. And then in regards to the former, we're still talking about how best to communicate and have an easier way to communicate to master students in any program, because today at Brown sucks for that. And listserv is not the best either. So still working on that. We'll keep you all posted. And that's all I have.
Wonderful, fantastic. Thank you so much. Our international chair is ill. So you've got my voice again. So amazingly, well, not amazingly, fantastically, we have got a mix of the international students here at the Graduate Student Lounge on the 14th of October from 9 p.m. till 12. There'll be drinks and refreshments served. It's not solely for international students. Like, it's prodded, we don't get it a lot, right? So please do rock up and like tell your international friends. And there is an RSVP form in which you can sit there and submit your favorite song from your country or culture, which is great. I will be putting on a lot of the Nolan sisters. If you know them, welcome to my life. It's an excellent thing to be doing. And then in November, there will be a summer thing, hopefully around Thanksgiving, to help build a fifth community there as well. It'll be a good time. It's going to be here. We're making use of the lounge. Make sure you RSVP. We need to RSVP so we know how much to buy and what to bring effectively. Okay, any questions? Pretty evident, right? Comms.
All right, a few updates from comms. First one is the previous communication chair, Mai, and we're working in collaboration with undergraduate student council to make sure that all the gender and non-gendered bathrooms on Brown campus have menstrual products. So we are in conversation with the facilities to make this happen, which we are getting some roadblocks, but the gist is, now if you just click on the link, we have gotten to, for the facility to fill in a couple of the menstrual products on different bathrooms. So I'm going to share the list with you. I want three things from you guys. First, take a look at the list and ensure that these are the locations provided to us by the facilities, and they said they will have menstrual product in them. So ensure that they have menstrual product, and if not, there's a way to report it. So they keep getting it filled. Second, if there are buildings on the campus that are not listed here that you know of from your campus or from your grad student grad program, please let me know so we can add it to the list. I guess I just have two things, but this will be shared with you. Please share with your programs so everyone can know and can spread the word. Yeah.
They have to be on the physical campus or like street or like core.
Any Brown old building. So when I say Brown campus, not only Brown campus, like not the medical, like not the Rhode Island Hospital, but anything that is Brown affiliated should be included. Ship Street definitely should be included because it's Brown building. Anything on this street, the only exclusion really is the Rhode Island Hospital or any of the hospitals, that's not us. Cool. Second thing I wanted to point is I know we get a lot of new reps every year. So this is also something that's going to be shared. Mai and we worked on making a kind of like a list of responsibilities for the GSD reps. So kind of like come to the meeting. This will also be shared with you. So feel free to ask any question or not. But basically just attend the meetings, share the information with your programs. We only need to have one rep per meeting. Not everyone's encouraged to come, but not all of the time is required. Add open for item on the agenda or just email any of us if you have any question at all. So all those are listed here as a responsibility, which will be shared with the meeting for this whole reps as well. So please feel free to just take a look at it. If you have any questions, let us know. Question on that? Oh, that's all.
Okay, now we're moving on to our open floor, and our first open floor, let's go back to this, is 14.1 CATS group therapy session, Aisha L.
Yeah, so hello everyone. In the aftermath of last month's meeting where Dr. Brian Ford, who's the director of CAPS, stayed in, so people had brought up interest in CAPS mediating group therapy for grad students. So I reached out to Dr. Ford and then now Corey Fitzgerald, outreach director at CAPS, and Corey Fitzgerald, very enthusiastic about the idea of having someone from CAPS be mediating group therapy sessions with grad students. We're hoping to maybe hear from people either in this group or your constituents about what people would want
group therapy to look like for them, if they want it at all. I personally am an advocate of something to psychodynamic talk therapy, which would be offering us an opportunity to do a little bit more work on how we function within a group setting. I recognize that within this platform, it's probably a place to be disclosing what they want to accomplish in a therapeutic context. But if you do have thoughts about whether or not you'd like to participate or what you would want therapy to look like, you can either talk to me, or if you want to reach out to Greg Fitzgerald, I think that you would be happy to feel any of your interests. Also, I'm happy to respond to questions.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else anyone would like? Is there anything else anybody in the room or online would like to bring up whilst we have some time for open floor? Going once. Going twice. Okay, if that's the case, can I please get a motion to end the meeting? Can I get a second? Vote yes, if you agree. Object, if you want to stay with us a bit longer. Abstain. Here. Right, brilliant, you're off. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you in a month. Check your emails for minutes by Friday at some point. Have a great evening, everybody. Stack your chairs.
Anyone who didn't sign in.
And make sure you signed in with Farage. Come and get. Here.